Welcome back. This is another episode of Carnival Visionaries. We're here with the Playmas team. It's Rome! And with me, I have a special guest who I just learned is a champion surfer. But I know him as an artist, as a creative in our carnival space, in the art space as well. Ladies and gentlemen, we have with us Che Lovelace. Welcome, Che.
Nice to be here, man. Thanks.
So, Che, you're telling me first of all you're a champion surfer.
No, well, I mean, you were asking me, you know, where I
asked
came
him,
from.
I was like, what do people know you for off the bat? And he was like, well, first of all, I'm a champion surfer. I was like, what?
No, well, the thing is that, you know, I realize now I'm getting old because there's a whole part of my life where people knew me as a surfer. And a lot of people will know me as a surfer, like a multiple-time national champion surfer here. So not just a hobby surfer. So that's kind of like people knew me as a surfer. But all during that time, I was been an artist. You know, I studied art. I've been interested in art from high school. And that led into, I've always had an interest in music and events as well. And I've always been in that area somewhat. And I intend to kind of be in that area, even though art, I would say, is my main vocation.
So how you translated the art into a Juve band, into this carnival space?
Well, you know, I think when creative people, I feel it's interesting, you know, we may not have to think about how things translate. They can easily flow one space into the next. You know, so I didn't make a kind of conscious decision to say, well, how am I going to how I'm going to kind of discover Juve. I discovered Juve as a Trinidadian, whether I was a creative or not. And I think being a creative, I saw possibilities in that space for, you know, creating experiences, sharing experiences. I think that even if you look at it from a micro level, you know, if you and a couple of friends go to an event, you go to experience something together, and you can take that as a starting point and see how that could become a band, that could become a bigger project, that could become an event. So yeah, that creative seed is there, and so it probably was there for a long time, and it kind of naturally grew into that, yeah.
So you started Friends of the Road?
Friends for the Road is my sole creation. You know, I was involved in a couple other Juve projects before that. One of them I was a co-founder along with two other people. One before that I did on my own, which was a small sort of artsy, you know, kind of do-it-yourself band, and that was around the 90s sometime. So I've been around in that space for a long time, and I've always loved Juve for its kind of rawness and its kind of ritualistic power, if you would. Yeah.
Right. So I've seen behind the scenes footage in terms of your preparation for Friends for the Road, right? Now, I'm really good friends with Wendy Fitzwilliam, and she was the one who introduced me to the band. She was like, she has this band, and she was explaining to me that you all have sort of a ritual that you all have in place in terms of preparations for the band, in terms of the preparation process of the mud itself.
Yes,
so give us a bit of insight into that.
Yeah, so I mean, we consider ourselves a traditional mud mass band. You know, mud mass, for people who don't know, is, you know, a Juve where you put mud on yourself. People like in Grenada, you know, they have the black jabs, you know, which is kind of oil-based and stuff like that. You know, there's some bands that use cocoa, they use different things, you know. There's usually something on the skin, some sort of way to unify the band. I think that's where it comes from, you know. I'm not going to get into the historical too much, but we do mud mass, and mud is very, you know, significant for us because we started there, and we always feel that, you know, putting mud on ourselves together on a Juve morning and going into the streets and having music, and then we introduce color at sunrise. It just unifies, you know, the masqueraders in a special way. So yes, there is a process and an interesting kind of, you know, like ritual behind the mud. You know, I source the mud from the village, close to the village of Matura, where I grew up. I'm from the country, and I always knew the spot where I had this special, very soft kind of clay, you know, that they use, or that was there close to the beach. So I thought this would be the mud I would want to use if we're doing a Juve band. So this was way back. So starting to use that, it just had that magic. We bring some down, we soak it, you know, we put good vibes around it. And then this Sunday before Carnival, before Juve, not before Juve, yeah, the Sunday before Juve, not Carnival weekend, but the weekend before.
Right.
We have a gathering where we mix the mud. So people come, friends come, some of the masqueraders come, we cook, we play music, we kind of process the mud, get it down, we strain it, we heat it. It's like a whole process. So when we reach the Juve morning, there's a lot of love in that mud.
because I was wondering, in terms of that process of preparing mud for Juve, if it was really just dirt or sand, mix with water, no, you just mix it up and then paste it on your skin.
Yeah. No.
So is it, you're saying that you're getting the mud from somewhere specific, and then there's a process of boiling it and straining it to go along with it?
Yes. I think traditional bands tend to do that. Actually, I never knew so much about the boiling aspect, but people have done that as well, you know. It also purifies it. The mud that we use is quite pure already. It doesn't have a smell, but it feels good. Well, you know, I mean, there's this whole world of mud masks for exfoliating and cleaning the skin.
Right.
Many masqueraders have told us after, hey, you cured out my eczema.
Right.
Yeah, swear to God. And, you know, so we have ideas that we could even package, you know, Friends for the Road mud, you know, because I mean, it really is great, you know, your skin feels amazing after. But I mean, besides that, I think it's the sort of unifying tendency that we get, or that unifying spirit that we get when we put mud together, you know.
So
all of us kind of looking similar.
Friends for the Road has become a very large Juve band in the carnival space, but a lot of people who see the band on the road realize that there are a lot of familiar faces, and you would always see some of the high-profile individuals within the band. Sometimes you've seen a lot of celebrities in the band as well. If you all didn't know, the first time that I realized exactly who Che was, he was mentioned in Will Smith's book as well. I always heard the name bubbling, I always knew he was an artist, but I didn't realize his strength in this arena. And when he was mentioned in the book, I was like, Che, I had to ask him off camera, I was like, you are the same Che Will Smith talking about? How did you become so affiliated with those high-profile persons within society?
Yeah, I mean, the angle I take that by is, I think Trinidadians have amazing scope and grace and talent, you know, across the board. I'm not unique in that sense. You know, I think that we have a lot to offer, and people sense that, you know. When we operate at our best and we kind of give, you know, from our hearts, I feel like people gravitate towards us and the things that we do, you know. Carnival and Juve is the opposite of division, of war. So we have a lot to share with the world, and I think people, you know, they move towards that very quickly because it's something that everybody wants to be close to. So I think the people that play in the band, you know, we have, you know, we have a lot of artists, high-profile artists, let's say, who like the vibe. Kes is a very good friend who always supports the band, comes and sings on the truck, you know. He always, when I was thinking about maybe, you know, closing down the band after COVID, he's like, no, you can't close that band down, Che. You know, we need to hold this up. We need to keep this tradition going, you know. And I agreed with him, and I'm really happy that we kept it going. You know, the US ambassador, Candace Bond, she comes and plays with us. A lot of the diplomatic corps feel very comfortable playing with us because I think the band has that authenticity, but it also has the amenities and feels safe, and I don't know, it's a nice blend, I guess, you know, for the crowd that we have.
So in terms of being a creative, I know some people shy away from the administrative side of running a band, and I know that you use Playmas. So how would you say Playmas has helped you in terms of the management of the band itself?
Yeah, I mean, that was important because I feel as like a creative, you have to find a way to, you have to find systems to help you structure that creativity, you know. Trying to do everything and micromanaging ends up being a problem, you know. You know, like I say, painting is my first and foremost sort of activity. So if I'm going to do projects and events and stuff, I need structures around me and help. You know, I need a team, but more than that, you need systems that can help it. And Playmas was one of those kind of platforms that came in very early, you know, in terms of sales and helping out with sales and visibility. And then I feel like, you know, Carnival is a developing, evolving space, and I feel like they were evolving along with me and the band, you know. I saw new features coming up and new ways for us to interact with potential clients and people who were interested in Carnival. So, you know, I'm very interested in looking at what a developing country does to, you know, find its full potential. So I feel like they've always been along that same road, if you would.
So for any of you guys, whether it's a mass band, a Juve band, just know that it will help you in terms of the administration, in terms of the logistical elements of managing the bands, just like it would have helped Che. But Che, I wanna touch on something that has been a topic of conversation within the Carnival space. A lot of people have been saying that they felt as though the creativity and the culture in Carnival has been slowly or rapidly dying. And from someone like you who comes from what Trinidad and Tobago refer to as the artsy space, what's your take on that? Do you think Trinidad and Tobago's Carnival has lost its culture?
It's a good question. I think it's not so much that we've lost, but we have to create more options. You know, I actually see it as a question of options rather than taking away anything. I think we need to add things to the Carnival, you know, so that's how I see it. I don't see, you know, pretty masks and the masks that you know, the costume designs that the big bands do now as being something that threatens anything. I think that creatives and creative people need to make other options as well, so that those very people who you know, subscribe to a particular type of mask might say, hey, I want to try this, you know, I want to do something a little different. I think creating that type of expansion is where Carnival will benefit, rather than, I don't like to spend too much time thinking about, you know, what is already there in a negative way, you know. I feel that Pretty Mass has its benefits, its pluses, the fact that it is a space of liberation for somebody who coming, you know, who's never, you know, been in the street dancing. It could be just as an emancipation as anything else. It could be just as powerful, just as artsy, or just as much as an expressive experience as anything, you know. So I believe it's the individuals, you know, it's the people that really make Carnival.
So if you had to add one element to Carnival in its state that it's in now, what would you add there?
Oh, I think we need to do costumes that come in at a better price point, so that we can have more inclusion in Carnival, because Carnival is really now, you know, a lot of people are priced out of it, you know, and I'm proud, you know, as a Trinidadian, that we've developed this industry to the point where, you know, a lot of these projects are individuals and small businesses, if you would, that have expanded and become, you know, the face of Carnival. You know, I'm not saying that the government is not involved in developing Carnival, but a lot of these are individual enterprises. So that's something to be proud of, you know. But I feel we have to keep expanding on what is being offered. And one of those things, I feel we could come in with more innovative costumes that come in at a lower production, you know, price point, so that we could offer that at a lower price point. I think there's a lot of room for more interesting curation on the road. I mean, there's a lot of room for growth there, you know. Right now we kind of roll through Carnival the same way all the time, and it's just the spirit of the people that make it happen. But I think the people who are creating it need to, you know, we need to also put, if you would, situations together so that creativity could kind of take another step forward, you know. And I think being more inclusive will help, you know. It will help the Carnival. It will help, I would say, engender a whole new generation of masqueraders as well as creatives.
What is one thing you don't like to see in Carnival at all, and you would like to see less of, or none at all?
I mean, I think a lot of because people who are into Carnival are invested in Carnival, you know. And again, I'm proud that it's a kind of space where it's not about owning material things, it's about owning experiences, it's about having experiences. I actually am quite proud to come from a culture where, you know, we don't put emphasis on just having things, having a car, having nice clothes. We put emphasis on having experiences. We actually take a loan to have an experience. I find that's kind of, you know, heartwarming coming from a people, you know. But I feel Carnival bands also take that for granted with people, you know, because people are so invested in Carnival. You can put out something that's kind of halfway there and people will still come, you know, because people love it. It's part of their cycle. It's part of what keeps them going as a human being. It's part of that renewal, you know, annual renewal. If you miss that Carnival, you feel like you've missed a renewal, a chance to renew, to face the world for another year, you know. So I feel like we take a lot of that for granted, and I feel we you know, there needs to be a higher standard set, you know, from suppliers. You know, I've worked with suppliers where I've been disappointed, you know, because I'm trying to lift, and if I'm working with somebody who's not building with me, you know, it feels frustrating. So that's a tendency I would like to see, you know, go away, and
right.
like all of us kind of say, you know what, let's build this together.
More pride in the product itself.
Yeah. And then being more organized to actually execute things. And if you say you're showing up at one, show up at one, you know.
Right.
I mean, these are all things that we've had to do, you know, in any area of our lives. So I think Carnival would benefit a lot from that, you know. Yeah. Taking ourselves really seriously.
So I'm gonna hit you some quick fire questions, Che. You're not allowed to think too much behind it. You had to tell me what is the first thing that comes to mind when you hear them, right? All right, so let's start with Soca Drum or Savannah stage?
Or Savannah, yeah.
Savannah. We go in with Destra or Patrice?
I go Destra.
Destra.
Yeah.
Marshall or Kes?
I go Kes.
Well, you know he kept watching this, so you have no choice but to say Kes.
Yeah. I have no choice there, man.
Juve or Mass on the Road?
I take Juve. Yeah.
Juve.
The soul of Carnival.
The soul of Carnival.
That's the soul of Carnival.
All right. Your favorite pan side?
That's a good one. You know, phase two. I mean, I tend to gravitate around phase two. I like the creativity. I like the changes. I like the unpredictability of them.
Right.
Of that band too. Yeah.
All right. And finally, groovy or power?
I go groovy.
Groovy.
Yeah, groovy.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Che with us here. This has been Carnival Visionaries. It's Rome. Thank you very much to the Playmas team.